what happens after we die? I mean, it's got to be the biggest question we've ever asked, right? For decades now, researchers have been collecting clues, thousands of them, from people who've been to the edge and come back. And what they've pieced together is this fascinating chronological journey that we're about to dive into. So that's the big question, isn't it? With all these stories out there, is there some kind of common thread? A pattern, a sequence of events that most people seem to go through in those final moments, and maybe even beyond?
Well, a lot of very serious researchers think the answer is yes. Thanks to pioneers like Dr. Raymond Moody and all the work done at the University of Virginia, a sort of map of the afterlife has started to take shape. And this isn't just one person's wild story. It's a composite, a picture built from thousands and thousands of reports.
Now, it's super important to remember what we're about to walk through isn't hard and fast, proven fact. Think of it more like a roadmap. It's a synthesis of the most common, most consistent patterns that people report from their near-death experiences. It's a potential journey.
Okay, so the journey begins right at that moment of what doctors would call clinical death. These first few steps are actually some of the most widely reported parts of what we now call the near-death experience, or NDE for short.
3 things consistently pop up right at the beginning of this transition. First, people feel a sense of separating from their physical body. That's followed by this wave of incredible, overwhelming peace. And then, there's a journey through a dark, tunnel-like space.
So that first step is the out-of-body experience, the OBE. Your consciousness literally detaches. People talk about floating near the ceiling, watching what's happening to their body below, all with this bizarre sense of calm. But the craziest part? So many of them say that this state felt more real, more vivid than normal everyday life.
Next up is this amazing feeling of peace. And we're not just talking about a few anecdotes here. The research shows that a solid majority, about 60% of people, report this deep, profound calm. All the physical pain is just gone, replaced by this feeling of total well-being. And the mind, now that it's free from the body, is apparently working with incredible speed and clarity.
After that peace sets in, the journey becomes, well, very literal. Studies show that somewhere between about a quarter and a third of people in NDEs find themselves being pulled into a darkness. They almost always describe it as a tunnel, and there's this feeling of moving super fast, being drawn irresistibly toward this one single brilliant point of light way off in the distance. Reaching that light, well, that's when a whole new phase of the experience kicks in. This is where the journey goes from being this sort of personal, internal thing to something much bigger, an experience of profound interaction and deep understanding.
You see, at the end of that tunnel, people often encounter what they describe as a being of light. And this isn't some harsh, blinding light. It's a presence that just radiates pure, unconditional love and total acceptance. According to Dr. Moody's research, this being doesn't even use words. It communicates directly, thought to thought.
And this often leads to what might be the most powerful part of the whole thing, the life review. It's a full-on panoramic replay of your entire life. But here's the absolute key, the part that changes people forever. It is not a judgment. You don't just see what you did, you feel it. You feel the joy you brought to others, and you feel the pain you caused them, all from their perspective. It's this incredibly deep, empathetic experience that gives you a profound understanding of your life's real impact.
At some point in the journey, many people come to a kind of boundary. Some see a line, others a river, maybe a gate, but it's always a point of no return. For the people who come back and tell us about it, this is where they're told it's not your time yet, and they're sent back, which, implies that for those who actually die, crossing that border is the final step into whatever comes next.
But what happens when that border is crossed for good? This is where the research has to shift gears a little bit. It moves away from that immediate glimpse that an NDE gives us and starts looking at evidence that suggests a much, much longer journey for the soul.
So let's try to connect these two ideas. You can think of the near-death experience as getting a look at the airport terminal, right? It's the immediate stuff right after you arrive. The research into reincarnation, on the other hand, is trying to tell us about the next flight, the whole long-term cycle of the soul's journey and growth. And there are basically 2 major streams of evidence for this longer journey. On one side, you've got the incredible work from the University of Virginia, started by Dr. Ian Stevenson. They've spent decades documenting cases of young children who just spontaneously start talking about past lives with details that can actually be verified. Then on the other side,
You have the work of therapists like Dr. Brian Weiss, who use hypnosis to help adults access past life memories, sometimes even exploring that in-between state where souls plan their next life.
You know, the common thread in all this research is this idea of purpose. The big takeaway isn't just that we might continue on, but that it's all for a reason. It suggests that death isn't just an ending, it's a transition, and that we as souls might actually choose to come back, to keep learning, to keep growing.
So when you take all these pieces, from that initial moment of separation all the way to this potential for coming back, what kind of picture does it really paint for us?
Well, this map really does outline a pretty incredible and consistent journey. It starts with our consciousness leaving the body, going through this profound empathetic life review, and eventually reaching a final border. And then, beyond that, the evidence points to a continuing cycle of learning and growing through reincarnation.
And that, of course, leaves us with one final and really powerful question. It's not about proving if this map is 100% accurate. The question is, what if it's even just partially true? If death really is just a transition in a much longer journey of learning and love, how would that change the way you live your life right now, today?